Aggressive Prime Minister goes after opposition.
वे न संसद में चर्चा होने देते हैं, न लोकतंत्र की भावना का सम्मान करते हैं।
Buoyed by Mahatsunami. Prime Minister Modi goes all guns blazing.
वो जनता की उम्मीदों पर कभी भी खरे नहीं उतरते और परिणाम स्वरूप जनता को बार बार उनको रिजेक्ट करना पड़ रहा है।
As BJP readies winter session wish list, opposition counters with Adani debate demand.
We are asking for an action from the Government of India. Parliament is the forum to take up all these issues.
Winter session showdown, day 1. Top focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and this Monday, winter session of Parliament has kicked off. And as expected, the opposition sticking to its demand of a discussion on the Adani bribe gate. And on the other hand, you had Prime Minister Modi setting the tone for the winter session, aggressively lashing out to the opposition, again reiterating that there must be a discussion, a debate, and not just non-stop disruption. We'll be getting your highlights of the Prime Minister's message, the opposition strategy, and much more. Let's begin. Prime Minister Modi this morning, just 30 minutes before the winter session kicked off, with his customary address, opened up the space for a debate, for discussion, but also warned the opposition against disruption. It's a message that we've all become used to just before the start of any session of Parliament. But this time, Prime Minister Modi, buoyed by the Maharashtra election results, didn't hold back. If you do a comparison of how Prime Minister Modi spoke just before the budget session of Parliament, right after the Lok Sabha election results, when the prediction was for a BJP landslide win and that didn't happen, and you compare that to the speech given by Prime Minister Modi today, you see a significant shift in the language he uses, in his aggression, in also his body language. And that's clear because of the momentous sweep in the Maharashtra Assembly elections.
Riding the high of Mahatsunami, Prime Minister Modi walked into the first day of Parliament winter session, breathing fire at the opposition.
जिनको जनता ने अस्वीकार किया है, वे संसद को भी मुट्ठी भर लोगों के हुड़दंगबाजी से, देश की जनता उनके सारे व्यवहारों को काउंट करती है और जब समय आता है तो सजा भी देती है.
The focus on Narendra Modi's attack was the Congress and Rahul Gandhi. The Prime Minister taunted the Congress for losing nearly 90 elections since 2014.
80 90 बार जनता ने जिनको लगातार नकार दिया है, वे न संसद में चर्चा होने देते हैं, न लोकतंत्र की भावना का सम्मान करते हैं, न ही वह लोगों की आकांक्षाओं का कोई महत्व समझते हैं, उनका उसके प्रति कोई दायित्व है वो कोई समझ पाते हैं. और उसका परिणाम है वो जनता की उम्मीदों पर कभी भी खरे नहीं उतरते हैं और परिणाम स्वरूप जनता को बार बार उनको रिजेक्ट करना पड़ रहा है.
The big Maharashtra verdict has also given fresh momentum to Modi's Viksit Bharat mission. The Prime Minister hinted at his government's first big task.
संविधान में वक्फ कानून का कोई स्थान ही नहीं है. कांग्रेस ने तुष्टीकरण के लिए कानून बनाए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश तक की परवाह नहीं की.
The other big focus on the Modi government will be pushing through One Nation, One Poll.
One nation, one election is something whose idea is an idea whose time has come. When we went campaigning, even during this election, a lot of people were saying that, look, why do we have an election every few months? So we had an election in June, one in November. We'll soon have a municipal corporation election in Mumbai. 3 elections in less than a year's time. And I think the people gradually lose interest. And I think this is all a huge waste of manpower, waste of time, waste of money.
For Rahul Gandhi and the Congress that scripted its worst ever performance in Maharashtra, the results calls for some serious overhaul in strategy. The resurgence of the general election has been exhausted.
पहले नरेंद्र मोदी जी छाती फैला के आते थे, अब नरेंद्र मोदी जी ऐसे आते हैं.
Post 2024, Rahul Gandhi has continued to expend his energies with attacks on the Adani Group, brandished the constitution and repeatedly warned that the BJP was endangering the constitution.
एक है तो सेफ है, एक कौन है? एक नरेंद्र मोदी जी हैं, अदानी जी हैं, अमित शाह जी हैं. सेफ है तो कौन सेफ है? अदानी जी सेफ हैं.
Prime Minister has already declared that the Maharashtra win was a victory of good governance and development. Modi and his government will now be going full throttle in that direction. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now today, the start of the winter session, there was a lot of talk about the absence of one leader. Leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, who wasn't there for the strategy meet earlier today and also wasn't present in Parliament. So he skipped the India bloc meeting. Rahul seemed to be out of town, and sources tell us that now he's back in Delhi. From tomorrow, in all likelihood, he will be present in Parliament to lead the opposition charge, particularly on the issue of Adani, on which Rahul Gandhi had also held a press conference last week. I want to bring in Maushmi Singh, who tracks the Congress for us very, very closely. Maushmi, there were a lot of questions asked today as to why the leader of opposition wasn't there at the strategy meet, wasn't there on the first day of winter session. What are you picking up? We're hearing Rahul Gandhi is back today.
That's right, Akshita. Sources have confirmed that Rahul Gandhi came back today morning, and he will be also attending the Samvidhan program that is supposed to happen tomorrow on the Samvidhan Divas. So clearly, apparently, he had gone for personal reasons with Sonia Gandhi to apparently, we are told, Himachal Pradesh. Due to health reasons, Sonia Gandhi was advised by the doctors to stay away from the national capital, and for that reason Rahul Gandhi was not around for the past 2-3 days. He's returned today, and it was indeed a subject of attack by the ruling NDA, where he's in one of the very important posts as far as, representation of the opposition is concerned, as the leader of opposition, and today being the first day of the winter session of the Parliament, and we are told that he will be attending the program tomorrow.
Okay, so from tomorrow, Rahul Gandhi, as leader of opposition, will no doubt be taking it upon himself to lead the India bloc's attack on the government, particularly on the issue of the Adani bribe gate, which is something, of course, that's been a huge talking point also for the opposition, and they've made it very clear that's their strategy to take on the government also in this session. Thanks very much, Maushmi, for getting us all of those details. So we've told you essentially about what the Congress is planning to do here and how they want to raise the Adani bribe gate in the winter session of Parliament. But what about the BJP? The BJP has a winter session wish list, and among that you've got about 15 bills that they want to pass. Key in that is the passage of the Waqf Amendment Bill. It's expected that sometime next week it will be introduced, and that the government is going to try and push for its passage, even as the opposition has maintained that they want an extension of the JPC to continue discussions on the Waqf Amendment Bill. Discussion of one nation, one election. The government again wants to get things moving on one nation, one poll, and the way they see that happening is by starting off discourse on it. They want to start in this session. Besides that, also there is the fact that the Congress is raising the issue of the Adani bribe gate. The BJP has also been raking this up since last week, since the news of the US court's indictment against Gautam Adani. The BJP has been maintaining that, look, Adani's funding has also been to Congress state, that these bribery allegations are against opposition-ruled states. So even in Parliament, will they shy away from a debate or will they be open to one is the big question. At this point, they are going to be countering the Congress's Adani discourse like they have been for the last few days. But we'll have to see whether there's a discussion on this in Parliament as well. On the issue of Adani, however, the Telangana government has also backtracked, seemingly because for the Congress, this meant that they were on a back foot while attacking the BJP on Adani. Remember that the Adani group has signed several MOUs with the Telangana government. One among that is that they also offered funds for the Young India Skills University. The Telangana government has rejected these funds and in a significant move today has announced that the funding proposal of 100 crores from the Adani group will not be accepted. You had Chief Minister Revanth Reddy holding a press conference and saying that we reiterate we will not accept this money because we don't want any controversy and we want nothing to do with the entire bribery allegations. This is for the Young India Skills University, for which several corporates donate funds, and so did the Adani group. Now, amid all of the ongoing controversies, and because the Congress essentially every time they raise this, including when Rahul Gandhi raised it, is always countered with the question of what about the MOUs that are signed with the Telangana government? What about the 100 crore funding that the Adani group has pledged for the Young India Skills University in Telangana? Facing that controversy repeatedly, you've got Revanth Reddy, the Chief Minister, today making it clear that they will not accept that money.
क्योंकि अदानी ग्रुप से मैं किसी पार्टी के लिए, हमारे कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिए नहीं तो हमारे परिवार के लिए एक पैसा नहीं लिए. CSR कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फंड्स हम अदानी से 100 crores इन प्रिंसिपल वी हैव टेकन ए लेटर. अभी तक एक पैसा भी हमारे तेलंगाना सरकार के खाता में नहीं आया. कुछ कम 3 लाख करोड़ रुपए बजट है तेलंगाना राज्य के, तो उसमें 100 करोड़ रुपए के लिए हम लोग इतना एलिगेशंस फेस करने का जरूरत नहीं है. तो कंट्रोवर्सी से दूर रहने के लिए हमारे राज्य सरकार ने ये निर्णय लिया हुआ है. हमारे ऊपर कोई किसी ने दबावट करने वाले नहीं है. किसी ने दबावट किए तो हम लोग सुनने वाला भी नहीं है.
Okay, so that's the Congress essentially beefing up its attack on the Adani issue. Now, I mentioned how the BJP on their strategy is pushing for the Waqf Amendment Bill. What exactly is this bill about? What does it aim to choose from the existing Waqf Act? I explain. The Modi government has brought in an amendment to the Waqf Act to restrict the unfettered powers of the Waqf Board, the country's third largest landowner right now, after the Indian Railways and also after the armed forces. So much so that 27% property in Uttar Pradesh actually belongs to the Waqf Board. The Modi cabinet first approved a total of 40 amendments to the Act. This was on August 2nd. Now the changes are being rolled out via a bill in Parliament. Let's explain to you all that you need to know about the Waqf Act. Let's begin with the most basic question. What does Waqf mean? Waqf, derived from the Arabic word al-Waqf, means to hold, stop, be silent, restrain or obstruct. Now, Waqf is defined as a property that's given in the name of God for religious and for charitable purposes. To give you the exact definition, Waqf means the permanent dedication by any person of any property for any purpose recognized by the Muslim law as pious, religious or charitable. Now, the proceeds are typically used to finance educational institutions, graveyards, mosques, as well as shelter home. And we're listing that out for you as well. Now, as per Sharia law, once a land goes to Waqf, it simply cannot be reversed. And this is an important point. Notably, their land holdings have actually doubled. It's surged in the last few years. So since 2009, their land holdings have doubled. Let's tell you now about the origin of Waqf. Earliest references to Waqf in India can actually be traced back to the early days of the Delhi Sultanate, when Muhammad of Ghor, I'm sure you've heard of him, dedicated 2 villages in favor of the Jama Masjid of Multan. Now, in the coming years, several more Waqf were created as the Delhi Sultanate continued to flourish. Now, it started in 1923 when Muslims in India, in the Indian subcontinent, wanted their properties to be clearly defined, and the British brought in the Waqf Act. This is where it was born, essentially. It pertains to gifted or charitable institutions run by Muslims, including, of course, mosques, and land that goes with it, as well as other lands left to the Waqf Board by their forefathers. Let's break down now for you the history of the Waqf Act itself, which I told you was brought by the British first. The Waqf Act was first passed by Parliament way back in 1954. Subsequently, it was repealed, and then a new version came to the fore. A new Waqf Act was passed in 1995, and this gave way more powers to Waqf boards. And then in 2013, this act was further amended to give much more far-reaching powers to the Waqf board to designate property as Waqf property. What are the functions now of Waqf boards? Let's break that down for you as well. It's not a single Waqf board in the country. Every state has a Waqf board that's headed by a chairperson. There are 1 or 2 nominees from the state government, Muslim MLAs, MPs. You've got Muslim members of the State Bar Council, Islamic scholars, all of them part of the Waqf boards. The Waqf board has powers under the law to go ahead and administer the property, to take measures for recovery of lost property, even sanction any transfer of immovable property. It's also been granted unrestrained power when it comes to registering properties. Now, let's tell you how much of properties actually belong to Waqf boards right now in the country. Almost 8,70,000 immovable properties are with Waqf boards across the country. 16,173 movable properties and over 3 lakh estates in more than 8 lakh acres of land, 3,56,031 to be exact. So what is the Modi government bringing in here? What are the amendments? Let's tell you about those point by point. Now, first, the amendment is proposing restructuring the Waqf boards. And this is an important one because the amendments aim to enhance inclusivity by ensuring women representation also on all Waqf boards. Secondly, the government has also said it will be mandatory for the Waqf board to register its property in the district collector's office. Essentially, this is being done so that the property can be evaluated. Now, all claims, the third point, all claims made by the Waqf board on properties will now undergo mandatory verification once this bill comes into effect. Now, as per the 2013 Act, the latest version of the Act, Waqf property cannot be challenged in any court of law. That too will now change. The opposition is up in arms against the proposed changes, as you've seen. The government claims the Waqf Act of 1995 was made under the garb of actually managing Waqf properties, but there were no similar laws for followers of other religions. The battle lines were drawn from the start, and that's why we're witnessing the fireworks that we are right now in Parliament. So there's a Congress huddle at Kharge's residence to decide exactly what the strategy of the Congress and the opposition will be in the days going forward in the winter session. Remember, today the House was adjourned after the opposition attempted to raise the issue of Gautam Adani, of the Adani bribe gate. Now, at Kharge's residence is where this meeting is happening. You've got all the senior leaders, Mallikarjun Kharge at his residence, KC Venugopal, Jairam Ramesh, and several others who are present. But it's not just the Congress. You've got an India bloc meeting happening, representatives of the Samajwadi Party, of DMK, of NCP Sharad Pawar faction, Aam Aadmi Party, the left parties. All of them are present for this particular meeting in which they're deciding exactly how they're going to be raising the issue of Adani bribe gate and demanding answers from the government. I want to bring in Rahul Gautam on this for more details. Rahul, it's clear right now that for the Congress, for the India bloc, their one-track focus for winter session is going to be seeking answers from the government on the Adani bribe gate.
Well, you rightly pointed out that Congress party believes that the recent US indictment of Gautam Adani comes as a vindication of Rahul Gandhi, and they're now trying to create this narrative that how they've been saying this, that the current ruling suspension is shielding Gautam Adani while he's actually damaging the economy, trying to amass wealth from illegal means. Now, we have to really understand that this is the second meeting of Congress party which is underway, wherein they are trying to chalk out a strategy as to how they're going to take on the government. You rightly pointed out Adani is going to be one major issue, but apart from Adani issue, and we've been informed that Congress and opposition MPs would be insisting upon to form a JPC to look into the matter. This has been a constant demand of opposition MPs. Other than this, we've been informed that Manipur issue will also be raised by Congress party along with.
So they want a debate on Manipur. They want the Adani bribe to be discussed. But on the issues that the BJP is raising, that the government plans to bring, like the Waqf Amendment Bill, the opposition strategy is very clear. They're saying that the JPC should be extended. They're not ready for the current draft bill to be brought in its current form to the winter session. So expect tomorrow, when the winter session reconvenes, there will be a showdown. Tomorrow is Constitution Day, and so you're going to be seeing also a massive ceremony, a massive event taking place, which we'll track very closely here on India Today. Thanks very much, Rahul, for joining us with those details of exactly what the opposition strategy is. With that, I'm wrapping up this edition of 6 p.m. Prime. Thanks very much for tuning in.